sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First ride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the hardly hear. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits roll. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, ready or die band.
All right, and good evening. We are back for another night of topics of high school football here in the Sunshine State as we get going here with the Central Florida Blitz. Good evening, Joshua Wilson along with Christopher Like here. We are happy to be back here once again. You can leave us a comment here in the chat box where you're watching us at on YouTube or Facebook. If you're watching us on X, go into the live stream itself and then comment so that way we can see the comment in the live chat. Otherwise, we will not see that comment because I asked Elon Musk why he did crazy things with the chat on X, but I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, we're glad you're here with us here as we get ready for week one. We got a great guest coming up tonight here on the Central Florida Blitz in Charles Jones from Central Florida Preps, and just a lot to talk about getting ready for week number one here, Chris. And as we get into it here with the Blitz Lines, let's get right into that as we roll into it. And Chris, the one of the big things that, topics that everybody's talking about are First Academy here in Orlando. With everything, they're not eligible for the playoffs this year, and they go play ING Academy last Thursday in the Kickoff Classic, and they just got molly whooped or something like that. They basically got smacked, and it was like for all the hype. What happened on the field didn't come on the out. The performance wasn't there.
Yeah, and you hate to see that for those kids, and it's just the reality of the situation. If First Academy is going to continue on this route, who knows? But they've got a lot to learn over the next few weeks if they're going to compete at a high level, very high level.
No, absolutely. And just want to remind everybody as we roll through here with the shows and stuff here as we are on, we are getting ready here to go into week number one. We see Gary Larson on the chat. Cedric McLeod is on as well. We appreciate both of them joining us here on the chat here and everything as well. But Chris, as we go looking at further, Osceola competed very well against Mainland. Those two teams went at it together there. Jones totally gobsmacked Sanford Seminole. And there's some big games here coming up here this week as I'll give you a quick preview. with the show here, with the pick six that we got coming up here. There's just some good games here this week in terms of what's in Central Florida. Of course, First Academy is just in Milton, Georgia, which, by the way, Milton, they got their winning streak snapped. We talked to Jeff Fisher about that last night.
Yes, they did. They got beat in a very close game last week. In their 25-game win streak, it's now snapped, and they're going to be looking. That Milton team is going to be very hungry coming this weekend.
No, absolutely. And with everything going on here, but looking at a couple other games, one I'm interested in game, and this is what I'm kind of Tampa Bay Tech came into Apopka on Friday night, got some stuff situated, and got out of there with a win. In Apopka, looking I got some concerns about Apopka, but we'll focus on Apopka Ocoee because if my memory serves me correct, last year that game was a 2-0 final. By the way, this is a district game for Apopka and Ocoee. We'll talk to Charles Jones about this as well, but Evans, West Orange, Creekside out of Georgia is coming down to play Seminole this week, and then Miami Norland is going to be at Lake Mary. So those are some big games that we've got coming up here, and those are going to be part of our pick six. So we kind of give you a preview of the pick six here, just to what's going on here. And again, if you got a question, got a comment, hit the chat box on YouTube, Facebook, or on X. We do definitely appreciate everybody joining us here on the show here tonight on the Central Florida edition of the Blitz. And Chris, what are you looking forward to here in terms of week one here in terms of Central Florida football, considering that there is a lot of programs that, especially with last year, the number of teams that were in the state championship game that came from Central Florida?
I'm very interested to see what Lake Mary does in the first couple of weeks, especially and even Jones, see how they can bounce back from this championship experience. Both teams really, there's a lot of interesting storylines throughout the entire region.
No, absolutely. Now we see you coming up on the chat box here. I don't know if it's not on the chat on the side on our streaming platform, but I don't see it coming up in the live chat box. I'm not sure why it does this. It's a struggle. Mark Cannon joining us here. He says smoke bomb into the Tampa Bay Tech Apopka game last year. He was there for that one. At least this year, it did not end that similar result. So we're thankful for that one in that situation. But just looking at some of the other games here, I'm going to go pull up here real quick since I finally figured out some mechanics with my computer here today, so it's not bogging down as much here in terms of the of everything. But the Central Florida slate, just with the games here that we got, you can go to FloorHSFootball.com and see all the regional schedules, which I think is a nice feature to this year, that we're going to get all the regional schedules broken down. That way everybody can see what's going on here. But just like DeLand's going to be at Madison County. We'll talk more about that in the Panhandle Blitz. But Chris, there's some other games here that there's a lot of chatter over Lake Brantley. They think, after they took care of business against Melbourne Central Catholic, they think they can have a winning season. But I get it. I know I've caught some flack over there from Lake Brantley, and they feel like that. Oh well, it's a winning season. They don't want any of our nonsense over here. But it's like, hey, at the end of the day, the Florida Power Rankings Index, it's analytical data, and we're just trying to, hey, you win games, you're going to move up in the rankings. If you lose games, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of it. And sometimes, even if you win, you could go down, depending on the schedule of your opponents.
No, absolutely. And I saw that as I finally got the first results from week 0, which are the Sunshine State Athletic Association games that did count on the schedule. And actually, I noticed that there's some teams did go up in terms of their power ranking go up. But when it came to a couple of particular teams, they won, but went down because even though it's one game, the strength of schedule that has come into play here, you can definitely see some factors in that, Chris.
Yeah, and it's all fun and game, but what counts on the field is what really matters. And so, but it's a lot of fun to see how the rankings actually, and the ratings actually measure up on the real scale.
No, absolutely here and everything. And I'm going to find out because we'll be having here Charles Jones coming on here in just a moment. And I'll find out here. and see where he's at here. But as we wrap this thing up here, again, you go to FortHSFootball.com, find all the regional schedules, so you can find Central Florida under the Central Florida section. We got it on the homepage, the regional section, so you can find it very easily with Central Florida. Match the color of the show. You can match it to the what it's on the website. So that is a pretty cool thing here. But just kind of looking ahead, there actually is one Saturday game, Seven Rivers Christian at Geneva. That'll be a 5:00 kickoff Saturday, but there's a lot of games Friday. There's actually a couple games Thursday. Taylor Pearson at Orangewood Christian, Toho or Short Toho at ING Academy State over in Bradenton. So we're definitely looking forward to with all of that, looking at the games here as we roll along here. So with that said, and any other thoughts, Chris, before we as we roll through here with the Blitz Lines and get ready to hopefully have Charles Jones on? He told me he was going to be on, so I'm hoping he's going to be in here in a moment.
Oh boy, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what Central Florida has to offer. See how many of these teams can reach the state title game and see what Jones and Lake Mary did last year, and see how. If they can come back and make another appearance this year.
No, absolutely. And, of course, go to FortHSFootball.com, and you can find the Florida Power Rankings Index forecast for week number 1. All nearly 300 games have a forecast. And, of course, if you're a season ticket, a premium season ticket subscriber, but either yearly or monthly, there is the game score prediction and the win probabilities. That is a subscriber feature. You want to check that out as well. We do feature on the win probabilities on the 6 games on the Pick 6 to kind of give you a taste of what we've got going on here, Chris. And I think fans will really love that, to see that kind of analytical data as the season rolls along.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to look at.
It's a lot of fun to look at and wonder, but we're going to hopefully have Charles Jones here in a moment here. We're going to take a 2-minute timeout, and we'll be right back here on the Central Florida edition of the Blitz here on FortHSFootball.com.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Touchdown!
Juggled and caught!
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought, if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, welcome back here to the Central Florida edition of the Blitz. Charles Jones will be here on momentarily. Just got off the phone with him. He's logging in. He thought he didn't see the link, and it was in his email box. So giving him just a moment to get situated and on here. I did double check. I make sure I'd sent the right link to him, and I did. So we are good because you know how these things go. You've got to make sure you have the right link. As we roll along here, appreciate everybody joining us here. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're growing our subscriber base on YouTube at Florida HS Football Chris, and also our social media platforms. We are like on almost everything, it seems like these days. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. I mean, at Florida HS Football X, at FLHS Football. So we definitely appreciate everybody who is here with us. Well, here have Charles Jones here momentarily with us, and we're just going to roll along with this, Chris. But let's talk about a couple things here that are in the chat box. Might as well just go ahead and talk about it with our fan comments right this second. We'll kind of skip around as we wait for Charles Jones here for a moment, and then we'll come back to the interview part. But Emery Smith says, talking about power rankings, I ask everybody to please subscribe to Josh's site. He's just posted interesting score predictions for all the games in the state this week. I mean, Chris, I think you've had a brief moment to be able to look at some of these game predictions. What are your thoughts on this on the opening slate?
You know, there's a lot of interesting opening games, you know. Trying to look for something that's more local for Orlando. You got Beachside and Orlando Christian Prep there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very interesting score that I see. And then you have, let's see.
There's a couple others I'll point out here that the one that's interesting is, especially we talked about it last night, was the Osceola Treasure Coast game. I think that game's going to be a bit closer than I think the computer is saying here, and looking at it. But what's interesting, y'all might want to you could probably get a head start on that Apopka Ocoee game. It's really, really interesting with what the projection is on that one. Again, you want to see the actual projected game score and the win probabilities. The premium season ticket membership, that'd be the yearly or the premium monthly season ticket membership. You can get on there and see those predictions in full like that, and the win probabilities. It really, really is cool to have all of that. Hopefully we're going to get Charles Jones on here in just a moment here. He was kind of getting a laptop situated, but hopefully we'll have him here in a moment. But as we roll through this here, looking at it, some other games I'm really interested in seeing. I'm looking at just a few that are just popping off the page. The Lake Nona Oak Ridge one, that one, the margin is actually kind of closer than I think it would be. There's the Potato Bowl between Flagler, Palm Coast, and Matanzas. This is part of the Central Florida Blitz edition coverage area, and I'll give you that line right now. Flagler, Palm Coast 29 over Matanzas. Ooh, man, I don't know if those Pirates fans are going to be happy with me come looking at this here in a bit. But just looking at a few other games here, and just glancing here, the Evans West Orange game, that'll be an interesting one that people will want to keep an eye on. I'm looking at some others here, trying to go through the list here because Edgewater Wekiva, the forecasted line on that game, I'm not surprised on that particular one. Let's see, going through here. Lyman Lake Brantley, again, I mentioned Lake Brantley. They gave me some flack already here this season about the projected record. That was part of the preseason stuff under the FPRI, and forecasted line for the game. There's a chance that Lake Brantley, if Lake Brantley can get going, they could start they can make a budge in the rankings in Class 7A. I feel like so. Just that's what I'm thinking. That would be what can end up happening there. So.
Yeah, I see a few other games out there, and especially Osceola and Treasure Coast. That's a interesting score that I'm not surprised, but we'll see about that.
No, absolutely. I'm hoping that Charles is getting on. We're not sure what's going on here. Let's see, because he had the link. We made sure. So let me see. Are you having issues still? That's going to be the question.
One thing we can focus on is the teams that are the Central Florida teams that are going to the Broward County Showcase.
That is a good point. We got Dr. Phillips that is going. Dr. Phillips, and it's going to be playing Dillard, and we did feature that game last night on our Pike 6. There he is. He's getting on here, so we're gonna get to it here with our interview portion of the show here. So we just kind of did things a little backwards here, so that way as we got Charles on, we're still gonna give Charles the time here that we're gonna give him, and we're gonna bring him on and say good evening to my man Charles Jones from Central Florida Preps. I think you can hear us good. But that's not a good sign if he's telling me. So hold on 1 second. I'm gonna mute my mic. Chris, if you can carry right for a moment, I'll be right back.
Yeah. If you get a chance, just please subscribe to the website. You got a lot going on. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, we'll have some more features on the show. And so, yeah. So we'll get Charles Jones to get his situation taken care of real quickly. Josh is trying to get him situated and set up here. So, one question I've got for everybody out there is who are the teams that you are looking forward to seeing this week?
All right, we're going to see if we got Charles here on air, and I think, Charles, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you. That is awesome. All right, we got Charles Jones from Central Florida Preps on. Now we had to get the audio issue. Sorry. Sometimes that's the thing with the issues with live video here, and we'll answer that question real quick from Mark Cannon, and we'll also probably say this here to Charles Jones as well, because Mark Cannon's asking, what do you think about Dillard versus Dr. Phillips? I mean, that is Charles. I mean, I'll let y'all both answer that question, but Charles, answer that question, then I'll give you a proper intro here as well.
Okay, my thoughts are, I live in Central Florida. I grew up in South Florida, but I can't really bet against a South Florida team when it comes to Central Florida. I am so sorry, but I'm really not sorry. Even though I cover football in Central Florida, if that makes sense. I like Dillard in this game.
No, I mean, wow. And I think that it's going to be a close forecast. By the way, the forecast line from the Florida Power Rankings Index 7. I think it's going to be close. 7 in favor of Dr. Phillips. But Chris, real quick, and then I'm going to give Charles Jones his proper introduction here.
Yeah, Dillard, a very good program, not just in football but basketball as well. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with Dillard. So, yeah, they're a very tough team to beat, especially in South Florida.
No, absolutely. And with that said, I want to introduce Charles Jones, the founder, the creator of Central Florida Preps, joining us here tonight here as we get ready to have toe meet leather for the first game of the season. And Charles, my man, just kind of give some insights about what you do with Central Florida Preps, your website and everything, and just kind of give us a little bit of what we're kind of expecting here with Central Florida this year, especially after the area took 3 teams to the state championship games last year.
Okay, well, Central Florida Preps, we cover Central Florida football, 13 counties, divided up into 3 different regions. And we also cover all SSAA schools. Shout out to Gage Brown and what those guys are doing with that league. I've seen that league just grow upon the years.
No, absolutely, and we had Gage on and Zach Schenk from the SSA last week on our North Central Florida Blitz, and but really, I mean, let's just set the table with Central Florida. I mean, 3 teams last year: Lake Mary in 7A, Jones in 4A. That was a classic right there between them and American Heritage, and then of course in Sorry, my brain is now slipping. In 6A, we had Osceola against West Boca Raton. But, I mean, really at the end of the day, out of those three, it was Jones that was the most competitive. Do you think, out of those three, I think a lot of people are saying, okay, Jones will make it back, but can Osceola do it again? And can Lake Mary do it again? Get back to that big game or does like Dr. Phillips stand in Hawaii, who, that was a state semifinal game, which unfortunately one of those two had to go down in order for somebody to get to the state title game.
Well, when it comes to getting back to the state championship game, that's a long road. Lake Mary, I mean, they got the horses. I mean, it starts with quarterback Noah Grubbs, Notre Dame commit, and Scott Perry is a guy. I'm trying to think, when was the last time Scott Perry, Lake Mary's Rams head coach, when has he gone into a season with questions at quarterback? Because this is Grubb's fourth-year starting rather. And before that, he had Gunnar Smith. So I'm trying. It's been probably a decade.
It's been a hot minute.
That question.
It's been a hot minute on that one for sure, and that really is what's interesting there. But as me and Chris were talking about with some of the other ones, I mean, like that, you got Lake Mary, but then Osceola. I mean, for what Osceola did last year on their way to the state title game, everything just kind of like the wheels on the bus fell off down there at Pitbull Stadium. I mean, do you think Coach Eric Pinellas will be able to kind of figure out, okay, like I mean, for lack of better words, they're pissed off.
Well, when it comes to Coach Pinellas and his guys, my thoughts are they're going to have to make more plays in the passing game, because I can remember last year's game, they were keying on Tay Swinton. And, I mean, 1,500, 1,600-yard rusher. I think they're going to have to maybe put the ball in the air to beat somebody if they want to get back to state championship game and bring home the trophy.
No, absolutely.
I saw the kickoff classic when they played Mainland. Now, I see, a lot of guys are, as far as talking about kickoff classics, they're, how much stock do you invest into a kickoff classic? But what I can tell you about Osceola and Mainland, that was a regular season game. It was just a regular season game that don't count towards the standings, because they went at it for 4 quarters, not, play varsity 3 quarters and then bring in the younger guys in the 4th quarter. No, they went toe-to-toe for 4 quarters. Physical football game. Few big hits in the game, a lot of turnovers. And Mainland came out on top of that one, 1 point loss of 14-13. And, I think I know Mainland needs a kicker. I'm not sure about Osceola. They did kick an extra point, but they also went for 2. I know Mainland's probably going to need a kicker.
Ooh, man. Kicker. I mean, as they say, there's 3 phases in football. Here's your offense, your defense, where's your special teams. And if you don't have a kicker, you could be hurting at the end of the game.
Yeah, especially if it's close when it comes down to maybe it's a 28-26 game and you need that field goal to win.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so talk about some of the up-and-coming players this year to watch for this year. Who are some of the top prospects coming up the pipeline for college coaches to look at in Central Florida?
Down here in Central Florida, it starts with quarterback play. There's like 5 legitimate guys, man, who are dudes that line up under center. Of course, we talked about Grubbs. He's already committed to Notre Dame. If you go over to Jones, you have Darion Coleman, who he's a UM commit. You also have Carter Emanuel at Edgewater, who's a UConn commit. And then you have 2 other guys. You have at Tahopa Kalika, you have Sabi Misik. He's a 4-year starter, already has over 10,000 yards passing and 10 FBS offers. And then another guy, I believe a wild card in the equation with those quarterbacks would be Ladarius Simmons, who has 7 FBS offers. He's the quarterback at Flagler Palm Coast.
Oh, wow. That's the thing. And I'm looking at a couple of your on your Twitter or your X feed, I should say. I still call it Twitter.
Me too.
I still call it Twitter. By the way, that's at CEN FLA Preps. I'm looking at some of the games you've got featured that you're going to cover this week, and you got some dandies on the slate here that you're going to hit up here, Charles. And I mean, just talk about that with the games that you're going to be hitting up here this week, because it looks like you got several on the spotlight.
Okay, well, one spotlight is certainly it's the Metro Game of the Week, so it's really not a spotlight game since I named it. A Regions Game of the Week will be Friday night. Lake Mary hosted Miami Norland.
That's a dandy right there.
Yeah, that's Central Florida Power versus Dade County Power. Two of them excellent quarterback play on both sides. Each team has a quarterback. That is the one that I'm anxious to see.
No, absolutely. And what about? I mean, I'm interested because I believe I saw that you also are going to you're going to check out Seven Rivers in Geneva, which is a 5:00 game on Saturday. And it really, I honestly, after Seven Rivers, they got their first loss on the season. They got handed it to them by Trinity Prep. Trinity Prep has been struggling, and then here comes Seven Rivers Christian. They're going to play Geneva. Geneva, by the way, it'll be their second game in 11-man football here coming up this week.
Oh, yeah, that's Geneva. The Geneva school was playing 8-man football, been playing football, I think, only since 2023, and they take on Seven Rivers. As you said, they just lost this past week. But, Monty Van and his guys, I think he'll find a way to rebound. And the Geneva school, it's their second year playing in 11-man football. So, might have some growing to do as far as that goes. And then tomorrow, I'll actually be over in Maitland for the Orangewood Christian Pearson Taylor game. That's a 7:00 kickoff in Maitland.
No, absolutely. And I know that Chris probably will ask us. It would be us in the same question here. So in this, for probably from both of us here in this one, if there's a couple of teams that people are not paying attention to, who would those teams be right now that people need to pay attention to that we're not really hearing about as well?
I'm going to go ahead and say Evans, Orlando Evans. Now they play in 6A4. The question I have for the Trojans: will they be able to challenge Oviedo for that district championship? Last year's game, I believe, was on the campus of Evans. That was a 30-20 game that Oviedo won, and they secured a district championship. But if you look at some of their talent, I mean, you got Ladarius Pryor, who was a 1,500-yard rusher last year, and you also have Amari Peterson. Let me make sure I say it correct. A 6'2", 190-pound safety that's garnering some FBS attention. And I just think, seen that program improve steadily over the years, but I'm wondering if this the year will they get over the hump and secure a district championship. They were a playoff team last year too.
Oh, absolutely. And wow, that Evans, definitely Evans. And we'll be talking about Evans here in a moment in our pick six, because we got that game real quick about Apopka, because, Apopka last year, first losing season since, I got to go back to the 90s to find a losing season for them. I mean, and then of course, in my mind, and then, Tampa Bay Tech comes in and just rolls through them in the Kickoff Classic. I'm like, okay, what's going on with it? I mean, Jeff Rolston steps down. I mean, it's just like it's Turnover City all of a sudden over there for a program that is such in pride in football.
Oh, it's looking rough right now. You got a new coach in Marcus Neeson, and they've had some kids leave the program via transfer. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over, in Apopka with the Blue Darters. I'm not certain on how good or how bad things will be. I don't want to go on a limb and say that, but it's going to be interesting, and they may be in for a rougher ride than usual. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to say they're going to go 1-9, 0-10, or nothing like that, but it could get interesting over there.
Oh, wow. Chris, any final thoughts before we roll here as we're running short on time?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing how much how Lake Mary and Osceola and Orlando Jones gets a repeat in the next season. What's your projections on that?
You said Orlando Jones?
Yeah.
I think Jones has the talent to make it back. I honestly believe that. They got Darion Coleman at quarterback. It's interesting to see him to Larry Miles again. That combination went for over 1,000 yards last year. And Coach Will he's got that program rolling. If you look at the last 6 years, 2 state runner-up appearances, or 2 state runner-up finishes, I should say, 3 other appearances in the state semifinal game. The only time they didn't make the semifinal in those last 6 years was in 2020 when they lost to Jesuit in a regional final during that COVID season. And another, when you were asking me about Lake Mary, it's kind of hard to to have to say go back to state. I think they lost a lot last year. And
Yeah,
I think
7A football is the most difficult in terms of how the pathway because of all the other teams that are sitting in 7A that could go that be the roadblocks this year.
yes, I mean they got the quarterback now, and I'm sure they got some receivers, but I'm basing it on the trenches.
Wow.
And if you look at that region, 7A1, that's not an easy region. You got Creekside in that region. And D-Land's going to be improved. You saw what they did to Leesburg, FPC. They have a guy that's getting D1 offers at quarterback. Spruce Creek is pretty good. Andy Price's guys do a great job. So that region, that's not an easy region to get out of, is what I'm trying to say.
No, absolutely. Well, Charles, I wish I had more time, but we appreciate you being able to take a few minutes of your time. I know we'll be looking forward to your coverage here this week and throughout the season. And follow them on Central Florida Preps at CENFLA Preps on X. That's where you'll find a lot of live coverage during the season. Charles, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, man.
Oh, yeah, likewise, man. You're welcome. Man, you got to keep me on here longer next time. I was just getting warmed up. I was about to say about Brad Lake and Brad Lord and South Lake.
Brad Lord, oh yes, my man Brad Lord over there at South Lake. We'll have to have you back on at some point during the season because there'll be a lot to talk about with Central Florida for sure. Because you're our guy down there in Central Florida. So appreciate it, Charles. Thank you so much, my man.
All right, likewise, man. You gentlemen enjoy your evening.
All right, you too. All right. That was Charles Shows from Central Florida Prep joining us here on the Central Florida edition of the Blitz here. And as we roll through here, we got a quick comment. Larry Lastars from the Laz Index. He says, great show. And he asked, what happened to Masters Academy last week versus Foundation Academy? Did they lose a lot to graduation? Larry, actually, they answered that question. They lost a lot to transfer as the head coach, Garrett Kruzek, left. And is now at Lake Brantley, and a lot of the players transferred over to Lake Brantley. So that will explain a lot of that right there as to why things are shifting real quick, like for Masters Academy and Oviedo. All right, since we're kind of rolling really quick here in this situation here, we have got to get to the pick six, and we're going to have to do this pretty quickly because we got our Northeast Florida Blitz coming up here in just a few minutes as well. So rolling into our first games of the season for week number 1 here, Chris. And we've got some good ones here on the docket here. First one, Oviedo at Bishop Moore. And, this one's going to be interesting. Real quick, Chris, who do you think is going to go in this one between the Lions and the Hornets?
I was actually torn with this game. I was debating on like 5 minutes trying to figure. When you gave me that picture, that game, it took me 5 minutes to figure out who I could pick. And it came down to Bishop Moore.
Bishop Moore. All right. I'm going Bishop Moore as well. Bet you see here that Florida Power Rankings Index is forecasting Bishop Moore 12 over Oviedo. Win probability, which again, you can see that on FloridaHistoryFootball.com with the premium season ticket membership. But this one, Bishop Moore, 85% chance to win this game. Oviedo, 15%. I'm not saying never. There is a chance. There is a chance always for a team to win. All right. And Reno is taking Bishop Moore as well, by the way. By the way, we should have him on tonight for the North Central Florida Blitz with us tonight. So we will have Reno making an appearance here. So we'll roll along with that. All right. In terms of game number 2, we've got Milton, Georgia at First Academy Orlando. This one, after seeing what happened as Emery Smith says he's going Bishop Moore, honestly, I got to tell you this. After seeing what we talked about at the start of the show with First Academy getting trounced by ING Academy, I couldn't put this into the computer. I couldn't put this into the algorithm, but I've got concerns about First Academy and what they're trying to do this year, especially since this is a year that they're on suspension. So, but
not only that, Josh, Milton is coming off a loss, but they're going to be very angry this week. So,
they're going to be very angry this week. Yeah. And Milton's coming off a loss too. So both of them are coming off losses here, and they're both going to be angry. But who's the angriest? Who's the angriest? And let's pull up the forecast here. First Academy 6 over Milton, giving First Academy a 72% chance of winning. Milton 28%. Okay,
I question that. I question that. But
I question it as well. Okay, so sometimes I'm going to question my own algorithm here, and My pick is I'm actually going Milton here. I think Milton I think Milton is going to be more the angriest in this situation, especially the fact who they lost to last week. I believe it was Grayson, I want to say, is the team they lost to in Georgia. Give me Milton.
Yeah, they lost to Grayson and it wasn't by very much. I think Milton's going to win this, and it's not going to be a very close game.
No, I don't think it's going to be a close game either. But this will, if anything, this game probably will take care of maybe some of the overvaluing of some of the teams in the rankings, because that happens. You get some teams that start too high, but eventually the games play and they get adjusted here. All right, to our third game, Apopka at Ocoee. If my memory recalls me correctly here, it was Buford. Sorry, Buford. Buford. I thought it was Buford or Grayson. It's Buford. Sorry, I knew it was Buford, who's not playing any points.
Buford.
Sorry, I apologize on that one. First Academy was humbled, Mark Cannon says. Popka Ocoee, if my memory serves me correct from last year, this game was a 2-0 game in favor of Popka. Yes, Popka won on a safety last year. That's how crazy it was. And I think it was also the weather was a big issue. In this situation, I just got to really think here that this game's going to be close. It's a district game, by the way. So, yeah, we're starting right out of the gate. District, hey, your playoff destiny starts at game 1. So here you go as we pull up the forecast. Chris, what are you thinking?
This is going to be a game for Ocoee at home. Apopka, I got a lot of questions about Apopka right now. So,
I do too.
Yeah, I think Ocoee is going to win by maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm taking Ocoee as well. I'm kind of concerned what's going on with Apopka. I don't know. I want to see more out of Apopka. I mean, but after what happened with what Tampa Bay Tech did, yeah, it's just not. I'm not there with it right now. All right, for our fourth game, Evans at West Orange. This is another game that I feel like it's going to be either it either could go one of two ways. It's going to be close or it's going to be wide open. But we talked what Charles Jones mentioned about Evans. That's a team to watch. And as we bring up the forecast here, Evans 2 over West Orange. Win probability going 59% for Evans, West Orange 41%. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, West Orange is not a bad team. I like Evans a lot better, more than I do West Orange right at this point. But I wouldn't be surprised if West Orange wins the thing outright.
Oh, absolutely. And Emery Smith's going to Ocoee or Apopka. I like Evans in this situation here over West Orange, and that's where I'm going to stick with as we roll into our fifth game here. Creekside, Georgia at Sanford Seminole in game number 5 here. And Creekside, Georgia is favored by 13 over Seminole. And win probability sitting there giving Creekside 88% chance to win. Seminole just about 12% here.
Seminole a good team.
But they got humbled pretty. They got a good slice of humble pie from Jones in that kickoff classic.
Yeah, they did, and they're not going to be a happy team this week. But I was torn between this game. But I think Seminole could pull off the victory.
So you're going Seminole. Well, I like to see Seminole pull off the victory just because it's a Florida team here versus Georgia. I like for our Florida teams to beat any team from outside the Sunshine State, but I got to be a realist here. I feel like that 40-0 clashing kind of, because I've seen Seminole and Jones go at it before in kickoff classic and go back and forth. This was not that type of game here, and I feel like in this situation here, I like Creekside, Georgia in this situation just to get the win here. So I'm going Creekside. Our last game is Miami Norland at Lake Mary here as we roll into this one. Lake Mary, 11-point favorite over Miami Norland. Win probability giving Lake Mary an 95% chance to win on this one. What are your thoughts here as we open up the season here?
Anytime you get a South Florida game against a Central Florida game, it's going to be a barn burner. This one's no exception. I like Lake Mary just based on what they got. Just based on what they got coming back.
Yes, and Miami Norland's introducing a new head coach, Daryl Heidelberg, one of the dean of coaches in South Florida, now in school administration. So no longer the head coach of the Norland Vikings. It's been hard to say that Daryl Heidelberg has been the head coach since I started FloridaHSFootball.com until this year. So that tells you a lot right there, how long he has been in this. But I'm going Lake Mary. I'm taking Scott Perry's team to win this one, but I think it's going to be closer than that 11-point spread there on that, and I think that's going to be it on that one. All right, Chris, as we wrap this up here real quick, because we got to get rolling here. We got another show here to get on air here in the next couple minutes here. We got Justin Barney coming up from the North Central for Northeast Florida to talk about Jacksonville area football.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. And we got three other shows too.
No, we do. All right. For Christopher Like, I'm Joshua Wilson. Thank you for watching the Central Florida edition of the Blitz. We'll be back here in just a few minutes for the Northeast Florida edition of the Blitz here on FlooridaHSFootball.com and the FlooridaHSFootball.com social media networks. We'll be here back in just a few minutes.